Welcome to the Why Blank Lost preview podcast for Big Brother 27. I'm David Bloomberg, and I'm very happy to be joined once again for this season by Big Brother 21's Ovi Kabir.
Hey y'all, hey David, happy to be here. This is basically my favorite time of the year because I get to talk about Big Brother with you and all the people who are obsessed with this reality TV show that we all love. So very excited to be here and chat about this.
It's the most wonderful time for you,
For me,
for
and
many of
honestly,
us.
for many of us. So
Yes,
most people
yes,
are waiting for this time of the year, and it sometimes get pushed back, sometimes it's earlier.
yep.
This time it feels right. It's still summer, and we get to
Mhm.
enjoy it.
Yes, yes. Now, we are, of course, here to talk about the Big Brother 27 cast that was just released as we're recording it yesterday. We want to give you our first thoughts and also add on something you can't get anywhere else by discussing a bit about how we think they will each do in terms of my rules for winning Big Brother. Because let me tell you, just from the initial interviews we saw, there are already some who look to do well and some who, let's just say for the moment, don't. At the end, we will give our winner predictions. And, just in case someone thinks there's no way to predict a winner just from the small bit of information, Ovi predicted Taylor in Big Brother 24 season preview podcast. Now, last season,
Last season.
I predicted Mackenzie would be the first out and almost predicted Chelsea would be the first out. So clearly I am right on target. But, I mean, that was in my defense. That's based on a rating of how well we think they will follow my rules. And Mackenzie didn't follow them all the way till the end. So, she didn't go out right away because of it, or at all, technically, but she never did get the hang of following the rules.
You're not wrong. If maybe it's one of those things. It's you just go with the opposite of your gut this time, David. But you are correct. That's what makes us different because we'll be ranking players based on these rules you've created. And so I'm very excited to see maybe I can keep up a streak from what was that BB24 here because we don't
Yeah.
need to talk about these last two seasons of
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
rankings since we might have they overperformed. But I what I'm most excited about is how much we disagree today because I already know. I think we're gonna have differing opinions for a lot of our viewers who've watched us before. That's typically how it goes between David and I. We have difference of opinions on here. So
Well, just
I'm
remember, as my shirt says, I may be wrong, but it's highly unlikely. After we just talked about Chelsea and Mackenzie.
let's clip
But,
this
I
every
didn't
month.
have this shirt then.
You
I
didn't have
don't
the
think,
shirt. That's true.
I mean, I had it, just not on. So it clearly the powers didn't apply. Uh, now, speaking of the rules, in case anyone isn't familiar with us, once the season starts and people begin getting evicted, we will be here each week, usually by Saturday mornings, to discuss what happened and how that player did overall in terms of those rules for winning that I originally wrote over 20 years ago in 2004 and have been modifying over the years. The most recent version that's currently posted is a few years old. It's at robhasawebsite.com/Big Brother Rules. I've tweaked it a few places here and there, but not enough to go back and repost it on the website and everything. For this preview, I just want to go over the basics of the rules, just basically the title. So, rule 1, scheme and plot. Rule 2, but don't scheme and plot too much and keep your scheming secret and don't backstab until you absolutely need to. Rule 3, be flexible. And the key is you can't simply tie yourself to one alliance and hope that it survives. Rule 4, don't let your emotions control you. A lot of people break rule 4. Rule 5, another one a lot of people break. Pretend to be nice and play the social game. Also, some subheadings for it. Act like an adult. Don't drink too much. Don't be lazy or show your bad habits. And keep your politics and controversial beliefs to yourself. Rule 6, don't be too much of a threat. Rule 7, trust almost nobody, especially deals made during comps. And then we have Appendix A, which will come into play later, which is the jury phase and how to work your way towards getting those jury votes if you make it to the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's a comprehensive ranking of rules you've put together here. And, it's funny because what we have seen is players that follow these rules typically make it much farther than players who don't. But what I do love to see is the players who truly break all of these rules. Because, again, these are just guiding rules that can and might not work for every player. And there's sometimes an anomaly of a player that decides, I don't believe in controlling my emotions. I don't believe
Mhm.
in playing this, and they somehow make it far. So that's the fun thing about each season.
Yeah, they can make it far. I mean, Mackenzie, like I said, when we talked about why Chelsea won and why Mackenzie lost, Mackenzie pretty much followed almost no rule.
Yeah.
She didn't win, right? And that's the point. It's the rules for winning. You can make it far. You
Hmm.
can be dragged somewhere, as Mackenzie was, and that doesn't mean that you're a better player than someone else. I would argue, for example, that you are a much better Big Brother player than Mackenzie. So it's
Hold on, I did not say that.
yeah,
You already, if there's anybody, if there's no one who's going to support me on this earth, that means David is gone from me, my number one supporter right here. That's a big statement there. But I mean, we have, one of your favorite players of all time, Jag. Are the one who has never been evicted,
yeah,
who won it and broke a good amount of rules too. But that's the fun part. It's a
yeah,
toss up, but what I've been learning as I'm with David, as we've been doing these podcast episodes, I'm like, wow, actually, this is true. I wish I knew some of these more of these rules going into the house beforehand. So if you are a future Big Brother player, you have to be watching this because you need to know
yes,
these rules.
yes. So now it's time to dive into the players based on the information and videos that were released yesterday. Uh, we will hit a few high points for each one. We're not going to go over, hugely in depth because people who want that's already out there. And then we will rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 for how well we think they will do in following my rules. Now, of course, a little disclaimer. We will be basing all of this off of very limited information. And, while I'm quite certain I'll do much better this year than last, like the shirt said, I may be wrong. It's just highly unlikely. So, just
Highly
keep that
unlikely.
in mind. Yeah. Yeah. So, with that, let's dive in with Adrian. Okay. We're going alphabetical order, more or less. And you'll understand the more or less as we get there. So, Adrian is 23, a carpenter in San Antonio, Texas. And right out of the gate, we have the person who has undoubtedly prepared the most for being on Big Brother. And when I say he's prepared the most, I mean that across like many seasons. I don't know of anyone who has prepared more than Adrian.
Probably not. I'm not sure what he has done to prepare for it in all the ways. He's, it's this is where I already know we're going to disagree, David, because there is Adrian. He is young. I always feel a kinship with some younger players going on here. Confident or cocky? I think many would say cocky because he's already, compared himself to the greats, from the Derricks to the Dans to the Dr. Will. So we're starting off strong when you see him, you see his interview. But I think this is my crazy, I want to hear your thoughts on it too as
Mm-hmm.
well. I think it's a bit. I think he's committed to the bit. I don't think he's watched Big Brother before. I truly
Ah,
don't think he's. No, I legitimately do not think he's really watched Big Brother. I think he's seen maybe a season or two, and he's like, I'm going to commit to this, that I'm this mastermind. And can you just watch his interviews? If you watch, I mean, they have it written down, but if you watch interviews, it's just him like talking about how he'll be the greatest. Really nothing to back it up. I truly
I
think he
mean, yeah,
chat GPT Big Brother and just said, what should I say?
I mean, he did say, that he's slept on the floor. He has he has made slop. He's been reading psychology books. He's trained for comps. He built his own wall comp. This is on there have been pictures of this, maybe videos all over social media. So he really did build
I,
his own wall comp. Now, did he get it so it shakes him and everything else? I don't know, but I I don't think it's a bit. I think it is true. Do I think he is pumping up the cockiness? Yes. this is Big Brother. Everyone who has seen Big Brother have seen, you know, uh, the guys in the, like Dr. Will in the diary room.
Uh-huh.
I think that he is getting into it. He is pumping himself up. He is pumping production up. And, they haven't been allowed to talk to anyone for like a week and a half or something. So I think they're just excited to even talk to a camera or a producer at this point. Um, he says he doesn't think he's ever seen anyone analyze the game the way he has.
What does that
So
mean?
I don't know. Maybe he hasn't listened to this podcast then, Adrian? Come on.
I, I like him for the sole reason that I feel like it is so braggadocious, outrageous. That's what he's going for. I
Mhm.
just, again, I don't know if he truly. I think, who knows? Maybe that wall is because he loves Ninja Warrior. Maybe he's just trying to put it from there and do this. I just don't know how much he knows about the show, even as much as he says it does, which actually might work for him in his favor because if he plays as cocky as he is in the diary room, I am
Mhm.
concerned that, hey, it's not going to go off well. And I also, he's one of the younger players in the house. When you're no more confident in the world than you are when you're 23. I truly
Yeah.
feel like that. It's like you believe you're invincible. You feel like nothing can, get on top of you. You feel like you have it. So I'm worried. But I mean, we've seen this in the past. We've seen some young players go in there, change our perspective. I think Corey was a great player.
Mhm.
We saw, was that this past season? Yes, Corey Wittenberger. Him just kind of showcasing his knowledge of the game and kind
Well,
of
2
going through it.
seasons ago,
2
yes.
seasons ago. Sorry, now
Yep.
they meshed together for me too. But a young player going into the game who was still self-aware.
Yeah,
Is
I
he
mean,
self-aware? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, he seems to have a good understanding of the game. He breaks it down to 3 areas: social, strategic, and physical. Now, the braggadocious part is the ego part is he believes he has all them covered. Um, Now, one thing that's very interesting to me is he talks about 2 different things that are practically taken from my rules. And he even says he has rules to play by, which makes me wonder. One of his rules is to play logically, not emotionally, which of course is my rule 4. Plus, he talks about the social game in a way like it could have come right from our conversations about rules 1 and 5, because he says the social is who you have influence over, the strategic is how you use that influence. And that's something that we frequently talk about is being social compared to the social game.
Mhm.
Um, Now, he says he wisely or doesn't plan to tell the other house guests how much he lives and breathes Big Brother, which is good. But let's face it, he's going to tell someone. At some point, he's going to tell someone. Um, so, yeah. Now, you have already hit on something, which is I know some people are already annoyed with him because he said things like, I am the best fan. I am the super genius, a social assassin, and a strategic mastermind. But again, this is his intro. He's promoting himself. Yeah, so I'm not mad at it. Um,
Okay.
uh,
Wow. Did
yeah,
not expect this one on the gate. Did not expect this to be your favorite. But hey, kudos to Adrian. He said, y'all, you saw this first. He said a few rules that resonate with David's soul, and David immediately went, "Love this man.
that's
This is
right.
this
You
is
know it.
this is this is him."
Is the
Um,
the weight of my heart is through my rules.
through your rules. Valid. I just don't think he's going to play to any of these rules, David. I think it's a bit. I am telling you, I think he's going to, if anything, maybe I hope he plays less braggadocious to it. But I worry he's going to be too much of a threat. I am worried his social game might not just be there because he's just so excited to be in here. I hope I'm proven wrong because I'm thinking I'm going to really enjoy watching him play the game.
Mhm.
I'm just unsure how well it's going to go in regards to our rules with his team. But, saying something might not be the same as doing something. But if he does what he says he will, I think he will do well based on the rules. But
Yeah,
from
I
my
think he
personal,
has a lot of very early boot slash winner potential. Like, I don't think there's much of a middle ground with him.
okay,
I
swing
think,
big or go. Okay.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to tell you, I'm giving him a 9 out of 10 on how well I think he'll follow the rules.
Oh, I knew we would disagree after that. I did not think we would disagree A 9? You're giving a holy 9
I
out the
am.
bat to
I
Adrian.
am.
Wow. I thought I was going to have the hot takes on this one. I have given Adrian very different than a 9. You have to curve the numbers out. I have him as a 4. I
Okay.
have him as a 4. And again,
You're erasing the top of that
I'm
9
very
there.
curious. And keep in mind, this is not how we think they will exactly do, but then this is how we think they'll follow the rules.
Right.
So David can be completely right. He might follow, if he does everything he says he does, his rules are going to. I don't believe him. I don't believe Adrian. I think Adrian's doing it for the bit. I can't wait to watch him. I think he could be a great player, but the rules, I don't think he's going to follow him. I'm putting him at a 4. David's putting him at a 9. I love this.
Okay. All right. Well, this was a heck of a start to have him, being the first one out of the gate. I really don't think we'll have quite as much to say about most of the rest of the players.
Probably
So,
not.
but yeah. All right. Next up, we have Amy. She is 43, an insurance agent in Stockton, California. What is the first thing that you noticed about Amy, if I can ask that?
The first thing I noticed from her is she's a girl's girl. She's talked a
Mm-hmm.
lot about that, and I feel like we ask this every season. Will this be the season where we get the girls' alliance that actually goes far into the game and does well? From the cast composition right now, it seems like it's a good thing, but it usually crashes and burns for whatever reason throughout the season. But she seems like a very girl's girl person, wants to create that mama bear type. That's kind of what she's talked herself about.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me happy but as a pro, but also kind of scares me because it might get you in a position where you're eventually this like a boot because of, not the key ringmaster, but somebody that they can just take out if they need to. So I'm kind of lukewarm on her, but her primary strategy was we need to make a girls' alliance, go far. I'm a big girls' girl. She said she was open to a showmance. Looking at the cast composition, I don't know how much room there is because a lot of people are already taken age
Mm-hmm.
gaps there, but who knows? That's what I've seen. Not very confident in comps either. Kind of the middle of the road. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, how well can you assert yourself within the group dynamics for Amy that I feel like she would have a good chance of going farther in the game, but could also very easily be like, if the girls turn on her quickly, might not look good.
Yeah. So what you noticed was the same thing I noticed, which, I mean, it would be difficult not to, because all she talked about pretty much was getting together with the women. And in at least 3 to 4 questions, she talks about it. And you said the question is always, is it going to happen this season? I'm going to answer it. No, it's not going to happen this season. Uh, you know, she she made it seem like she's watched a lot of Big Brother. But then when she was asked about the standout moment from 25 years of Big Brother, she said it was Mackenzie taking Chelsea to the end last season. So, did really the absolute most recent thing that happened, literally the most recent thing that could have happened, is the standout of the entire 25 years? I don't think so, Amy.
She knows not to do it though. It's a good example not to
Yeah.
follow that. So there is a chance there. I don't know. I mean, like, yes, I don't. I'm the optimistic of here. Every season, we're like, please, like, there could be a women's alliance that could go far, and we've seen. I mean, I don't understand. We've seen it in Survivor do so well, but Big Brother, just for whatever reason, the dynamics just don't mix. But from truly the cast interviews, again, these are pre-interviews we're getting.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there might be a solid group here to go there because I also think I don't want to go into other members, but I think there's many more women on this season that we apt to it. But also, I feel like there's a less likelihood of a all men's alliance really forming
Mm-hmm.
strong here. So I always hate to say this, but I think Amy's ability to go far in this game and win this game will be very determinant on other players if they want to work with her.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, and that's what she said. The other than working with women, the only other thing she really
mhm.
said was that she's good at building connections and has a good personality and can read people. Uh, Personally, I do not have a good feeling for her or about her at all. So I am rating her a 2.
Ooh, a 2.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, when you were
strong
saying
one.
middle of the road, I'm like, no, she's the bottom of
Oh
the road.
man, because
The
I'm
Heisman
not going to
winner.
change my rankings now. I'm not going to be convinced by the David convincing. All right, he does this. He's very convincing at things, but I won't let it sway my mind. It might sway the viewers, but not me today. I have Amy as a 5, right at the middle of the road. I feel like because of the cast composition, I feel like she could do well within the rules. She's gonna try not to. I only worry is that she's not going to plot and scheme. I know she said she's okay to take an attack on somebody, but
Mhm.
right now I feel like it's as close as the middle right here. This is my middle. We'll see where it goes up and down.
So you're giving her a 5?
Yes, sir. I'm giving Amy a 5.
Okay. Well, next up we have, I need to scroll here, Ashley. And she is 25, an attorney, originally from Chicago, but now in New York. Now, I, of course, want to root for Ashley because she's from Chicago, but now she's in New York. Come on. So we'll see how that goes. She says she's been watching the show since she's a little girl, and she thinks people will underestimate her and won't know she's really strategic and a lawyer, and she competed in pageants and track. I've already seen some people say it's kind of her pageant training is kind of obvious just watching her, but that's watching her in this situation. We'll have to see how it goes after that. And she could still acknowledge having been in pageants without saying, "Oh, and by the way, I'm also an attorney."
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like I was really impressed with Ashley on here because I really like the background of how she's coming from. She's talking very eloquently about things, but also is very confident in her words, but understands like, hey, I need to ensure that like it doesn't seem like I need to be the center of everything. So I think that like from her athletics, she's been part of. She said she did track and she did some dance pageantry. I mean, she went to a T14 law school, which I don't really give much clap to in the sense of how it'll do in the Big Brother house, but it seems like there's like a brain on her,
Yeah.
some good social skills. So everything I saw from Ashley seems smart and they understand the game. I think that's the smart thing is being aware, but also understanding the game. Because I think we have sometimes people who are really aware who do well, but don't know the game. So it makes it difficult for them to understand the rules we've put on there and go further. But then it's the opposite where they know the game really well, but aren't very self-aware.
Right.
And that really hinders them. I look at Ashley as a mix of both.
Yeah. Now, one of her favorite players is Andy, and she talked about him a lot, which definitely bumps up her rating for me. She clearly favors strategy in the social game, saying her training as an attorney will allow her to manipulate the facts in such a way as to convince others that what she says is the truth. But on top of that, she says she's outgoing and warm, and people get close to her quickly. So if that's all true, I think that's a good combination.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like everything I've seen from them right now. And I also think like being in I think it's always actually an advantage when we have cast members, and you'll probably see that as a bias of mine as we go further, who are in the Northeast because we see a lot more cast and house guests from the Northeast area. If they're New York City, there's a tri-city area where they can kind of communicate with people from Philly, other bigger cities, Chicago's. There's kind of like a already bond there. I feel like, so I feel like Ashley's gonna do well there, and everything I've heard from her, I like it. I have her ranked pretty high. I have her at an 8.
Me too.
Ooh.
Look at that. We agree on someone.
Wow.
Yay!
Third time's a charm. I love that.
All right. Okay. Well, next up. So let me just say before we put this person up here, this person, when I saw her interview, I immediately made a video and posted it on my YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram because I was so annoyed by her right off the bat. And I am talking about Ava Pearl, 24, aura painter in New York.
Aura painter is such a crazy title that I love it.
What can I say about her? She paints auras. Yeah. I mean,
David Bloomberg against the arts? What is this?
It's not the arts I'm against. In fact, she says her strength is that she reads people's auras for a living. So her secret weapon in the game is an imaginary power. Yay.
David doesn't watch enough anime to know how strong of a power this could potentially be. All right, this is a great ability, and I love it. I love Ava. I loved her energy, and when we talk about swing or miss, this is a person that I see being the ringleader of pre-jury and going out maybe fourth potentially, unless there's like a twist, or truly making it very far. And I'm really hoping for the other part of it, making it very far. Or pain. I mean, isn't it cool that we've had a natural progression through the seasons? You can really figure out the timelines of like when a season comes out, when we have the manifestation was the biggest thing, that we had life coaches that are even bigger, and now we have aura painters. It's a progression of going to each aura, and Ava is definitely quirky, but I also feel like they tell it as it is, from being from New York City, the way she kind of talked about, like, I don't mind speaking up about this, but also like they seem like they have a very good sense of humor that I think could do really well or do really badly, because it just depends on the people around them. And it's very, very Gen Z humor, I find. I think it's very like, so again, that could do really well with some of these members. But some people like, oh, I don't get this. I don't want to be around. So how well they can adapt, I'm not sure. But I love Ava. I really, truly did.
Yeah, many people have already been comparing her to Caitlin from BB20 or Lisa from last season. A few even said they hope she's another Caitlin. I hope she's another Caitlin too, because then she goes out early after not being able to do a 4-piece puzzle. Now, as for comparisons to Lisa, some people have said, well, yeah, Lisa caused a lot of fun moments. Yeah, I suppose Ava might be able to be so ridiculous that she does the same. My biggest worry is she will mess up the game of someone who actually knows what they're doing, like an Ashley or an Adrian, or some others we're talking about later.
Okay.
So there's a viewer on Blue Sky. I believe her name is pronounced Kalia. And she said, oh, great. She's going to put someone on the block based off of vibes and auras. And I really hope not, because I don't want us to have to explain that, why blank lost. Like, why did this person lose? Because Ava thought her aura was
bad
black.
aura. That's not a valid thing to vote somebody out, David. To say we might have to add that as a rule. You need to have good aura.
Yeah.
That could be. No, I truly think, I feel the aura thing. Okay, I'm not saying it's not valid to them, how they perceive it, but I wonder if that's more, I don't want to say gimmick, but something of a nature to kind of like, well, that's their personality to talk about. I don't know if that's going to be that integral to the game. I hope maybe she throws it out there, but okay, it'll be different if she's like, hey, I read auras, I can read your aura. I can see how that can push somebody off and be like, oh, this is strange. But if it's more like a fun thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'm in New York City. What job could you have as an aura painter outside of New York City? Like, that's such a New York City job and such a crazy, quirky thing that I think,
She claims that she's not going to tell people because it would give away her big secret power and make them think she's a witch. I mean, honestly, it's not a bad idea to not say anything. Like so many others, she will eventually tell people. We know this. But I'd be worried about it because she can use that. Like, let's say I'm in the house with her and she doesn't like me. Well, then she just tells someone he has an evil aura. I can tell. And if they believe her, now suddenly there's nothing I can do about it. How do I prove my aura isn't evil?
That's powerful, though.
Yeah, it could be if people believe her. So there was someone on the most recent season of Australian Survivor, who claimed to be a witch and could read auras. And the funny thing was, right out of the gate, she read the guy who turned out to be the winner. She read his aura as polka dotted. Guess what color shirt he was wearing?
Stripes.
Polka dots. It was, it was like, come on.
There's signs. She saw signs.
Yeah, right,
she made an accurate estimation. She saw I think, you know what? I think you're giving too much grief to Ava. I think Ava,
Never.
yes, is going to be able to read. I think she's not going to trust people too much because she'll be able to figure out their aura. I think she's going to be able to control other people's emotions. Through that, she's going to plot and scheme. I have Ava higher than
See,
probably you do.
you definitely have her higher than I do. I did not see anything in her interview that indicates she has any real clue on how to play the game. That's the other problem. She says
She's a
she's
big
a
fan. She's a
fan.
big fan.
No, she's a little fan.
A
Her
little
little
fan?
brother is the big fan.
Okay.
And in response to all the questions about strategy, she gave non-answers. All we really know is she needs the money. Okay, lots of people need the money. That's not a valid enough reason to show you're going to win.
7. That's what I gave her. I gave her a 7, David, and I'm sticking to it.
A 7. Okay, well, if you take the top of the 7 there and you lop it off,
No, don't do it. Don't
that's
do
what
it.
I gave her.
A 2?
No,
A what?
I gave her a 1.
No way. Okay, just because you don't find aura reading valid, that is crazy. All right, you know what? We're gonna have her read David's aura right
Oh,
now.
I
All
already
right.
know she's going to say it's black as pitch.
Uh,
So I'm
oh,
an evil person for giving her a 1.
I think she will follow our rules more than Adrian will, but we will
I
see.
do not.
We
I
will
do
see.
not.
Head to
Not at all.
head. We're gonna do a
Yes.
side bet of Ava and Adrian. That's what we're gonna our aura battle will be.
All right. Well, the next stop, we may agree more. Well, we have to agree more. I don't know if we'll agree total. Is Will. And now you may be saying, David, I thought you said we were going in alphabetical order. Well, his name is actually Clifton. So we're going in alphabetical order according to his actual name. But he goes by Will or Captain Will. Although I don't know how he'll be able to go as Captain Will because he's not talking about the captain part, supposedly. He is 50, a college sports podcaster, apparently on women's volleyball. So, or maybe it was women's basketball. But, like I said, college sports podcaster in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, right off the bat, I'm rooting for Will because he's the oldest in the house. And he wants to be the oldest person to win the show. While, like I mentioned, his job is a podcaster, he says he was in the Army for 22 years, including spending some time in Iraq. And the weird part is he's not going to talk about it. This is where I think he could encounter some problems. That's almost half his life. How do you avoid talking about what you've done for half of your life? There was a doctor on Survivor a couple seasons ago, well, 4 seasons ago, who got busted for exactly that. He didn't want to admit he was a doctor, so he made stuff up, but he couldn't account for like 8 years of his life from med school and residency, and people busted him on it. That's 8 years. This is 22 years. There's just no way.
Yeah, I think, I understand when people want to not tell their profession in certain ways, but I also think you got to remember, you're playing double games, right? You're talking about how you can sneak and lie about this, but you also have to connect with people. So now you're kind of taking away 25 years of your experience of your life that you won't be able to share the stories with people that can help them bond with you. So I hope he has maybe he has a side story, a backstory of during those times that is similar. Maybe he can talk about that or a family member in that military. It might take away something integral from him that will help him bond with other people. But outside of that, I know you like rooting for the older guy. I'm pleasantly surprised by his interview. I really like hearing a lot of his things. I think it's very cool that he does a women's podcast. That way, if there's any sports fans within there, he probably can talk to them about it, align with certain things. I mean, I think it was basketball. So, I mean, WNBA is going much bigger right now. So I imagine he's familiar with that. So if there's any of the men or women in there who are interested in that, that's a cool bonding point because it's very niche still for people who are still knowing about that. So I think there's a lot of room for him to navigate in a good position in which other older players weren't able to, because the thing is why older players, I mean, maybe you can talk and say I'm wrong, but they don't do as well because it's hard for them to relate to certain things that are ongoing currently and they feel like an outsider maybe.
I don't know it's necessarily hard for them to relate. I think many of them could relate, but the younger crowd would often say, look at the old person trying to relate to us here, so it really depends on who you're there with, like so many other things.
No, very true.
But now many people, including me, are cheering Will on for what seems to be a clear shot at Kenny from last season, because he slammed people who moan about missing their family, even though they knew that would happen, when they signed up. So, that automatic bonus points for Will there. Now, we were just talking about relationships between him and the younger people. He thinks he's going to work these kids over like a puppet master. And because of what I just said, I'm sorry, I don't see that happening. Even if he's the cool older dude you want to hang out with, like he says, I don't see him turning that into being a manipulator. He says his strength is relationship building. I don't know. I don't see him controlling the game.
Yeah, I think, it's one of those things, you're cast for your archetypes, right? But also when you're in the house, there's so many dynamics there that you kind of need to follow initially beginning game, right? A certain pattern to help you get to the next move. I think it'll be very tough for him to basically take power in the beginning and then control things. So I can see him if he gets into a bigger alliance and works his way through there. Here's the thing I say is that because of what he does now, but also of his past experience, I think he has a really good ability potentially to relate to both sides of the house if it gets split from gender, from men and women. So I feel good. I also, one thing I feel good about him is that he's not going to take an unneeded risk in the beginning, because I also think he wants to experience the game. That's what he talks about. Like, he wants to have the costumes. He wants to do these outfits. Like, he wants to play Big Brother, to experience Big Brother as well. So because of that, I feel like he's going to play a sensible game going throughout it. And that's why I also have him ranked at 6, right in the middle.
Okay.
I feel like he's going to listen to things. What do you have him as, David?
I have him as a 5.
Okay.
I worry about him. He has this very detailed plan to get 2 men and 2 women on his side to make a 5-person basketball team. But if he pushes too hard, like if he comes in thinking that and goes, okay, there are 2 women, I've got to get them, and there's 2 guys there, and I got to get them, and I got to tell them this plan. I could see people turning against him quickly. Like, what the heck is this guy doing? So I just worry about that, and that he estimates how much he can control. So I think he's going to violate the second rule by scheming and plotting too much. So I'm still giving him a 5, but it's an iffy 5.
I get that. I think we're pretty aligned on that one.
All right. Next up is Zay. So the other seemingly out of alphabetical order person, but that's because his name is Isaiah. He just goes by Zay. He is 23. He is a salesperson originally from Kentucky and now in Utah. And I will just say, of all the people, every time I go through the list of everyone, I'm most surprised by seeing him, because he keeps falling out of my brain. I keep forgetting he's in the cast. Now he thinks he will be. I'm sorry.
Not the shots. He didn't even start. He said, "I forget he's on the cast." Even.
He's. I don't know. He seems so. I mean, look at him. He seems so generic. I'm sorry.
He has the blonde tips. He has the,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Pink
he's
shirt.
Like if you said AI create a Big Brother player.
I mean, good-looking young guy. Yeah. I mean,
so Zay thinks he will be the most well-rounded person in the house, and that's why he'll win. And he knows everyone will like him. But he says adaptability, or what we would say flexibility from Rule 3, is his secret weapon. And he isn't going in with a set strategy, doesn't want to be too locked in, which is smart and the exact opposite of Will, who we just talked about. I also like that while he doesn't want to admit he's in sales, he knows that it'll probably slip out. Again, the opposite of Will. Some realism there. So although, he looks kind of generic, he's less generic in some of the things that he said.
Oh, that's funny. I thought this was going the opposite way, because I thought we were going to agree that we might both feel the same way. I thought he was kind of memorable seeing him, but I thought his answers and his interviews were unfortunately lacking. But I will say this.
I should say the very next sentence in my notes is, the thing is, Zay didn't give me a whole lot to go on. So what I just mentioned was pretty much all of it.
He's he can be a competition beast. I think that's
Mhm.
his strategy because I imagine you were going to be about to say this, but he has no strategy. He believes that he shouldn't go into the game with any strategy because it'll be, I don't know, taxing to figure out a strategy beforehand. And I know the game changes as you go, but I
Mhm.
do think it's important to go through with strategy. And this is one of the players I think our rankings are going to be very interesting because, again, we're ranking people trying to how we believe they will do based on the
Right.
rules. I could see Zay as an anomaly and do really well and go very far in the game potentially with different things like that without believing the rules. But I have no belief that he will do any of the rules. I see him overplaying, scheming way too much, trusting too many people. I like, hey, I could go down the list and it'll be broken. So I'm not the highest on it, and I also think at being 23 and not, at a younger age, it's a little tougher.
Mhm.
I'm happy he's not going to lie about his job because more than likely he probably hasn't worked very long. At 23, there's only so many
Right.
years you can really work as a salesperson. So there's not much experience he could take away from if he
Yeah.
lies about that too.
All right. Well, so what is your rating here?
Too. I have him at a 2.
Wow.
I
Wow.
don't think he'll follow
Okay.
the rules. I mean, that's the right. Like, how
I
he will
just
follow the rules.
what little he did say, I guess. So I initially had him as a 6, but after
6,
just talking here, I dropped him to a 5. Just
a
as we
5.
were talking
Okay.
here.
I mean, there's
So
no strategy. It's just competition, which again could do
I mean,
really good
yeah,
for him.
yeah.
But like,
I mean, maybe if you talk to me at the end of the podcast, I'd drop him even further. But let's just say
I
5 and
hope he
move on
does
from
well.
there.
I hope.
Yeah.
I want his blonde tips to go well.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him to do well, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, he is a lower ranking on my
Okay. Well, now next up we have the guy who designed the AI of Zay, and that is
thing.
Jimmy, who is 25 and an AI
Good.
consultant. He is originally from Florida and now in Washington, D.C. So Jimmy has been watching since at least BB10 and says he'll win because he has a strategy background, including manipulation. And he also knows how to build relationships. I definitely like that he says, I'm not here for the experience. I'm here to win. I don't know, maybe it's, you tell me. I feel like more people on Survivor used to say, I'm here for the experience. I don't know that many people who say, I'm here for the experience on Big Brother.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the experience is being there. I mean, anyone can have the experience of being really just lock yourself in a room and just eat and stay on the couch and just, just don't turn on TV. Like it's
We
luck.
all had that experience a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. COVID gave everyone the experience of Big Brother. Essentially, the only difference is we were just voting out the rest of the world, not just the
Yeah.
people in the house. Um, yeah, no, it. JB comes off strong. He has a strong personality, and it's one of those things where it can be really good to make relationships with,
Mhm.
but it can maybe come across, uh, maybe a little too strong. My only here's the thing. I felt like they're a smart person. They talked about their experience in DC and what they do,
Mhm.
so I feel like they understand how to play the game. They're a fan, so they didn't say they're a super fan, but a solid fan. So I feel like they get the grasp of the game and can do well. And within our rules, I feel like they're not going to do something too crazy. The only con I put was a triplet. I was like, hold on, you're a triplet. Might something be wrong there? And the only reason is like you just been with two. Are you going to miss them? Or maybe it's like because he was a triplet, he's had two older brothers, or I guess not two older brothers, like
to,
two
to the same brothers.
same
Yes.
brothers.
Yeah.
I think I'm assuming they're brothers. It could be cross, so
That's
I'm not
true.
sure.
Yeah. We're not sure. He didn't say identical triplets.
Exactly. I maybe
That's the
that
big twist. It's the triplet twist. He's going to be
exactly.
switching in and out with both of them.
That would be crazy, actually. And that's the mysterious guest.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. So, I mean, I feel like they have a experience from this being from the South, from Florida, so they can bond with people from down there, but they live in a bigger city in DC. So, I mean, I have Jimmy doing pretty well. The only thing I worry about is like, do they want to take a little too much control of the game at some times? Maybe that could be take the shot when they shouldn't take a shot.
I mean, he says he wants to start as part of a big alliance, but not be the main person forming the alliance. So that's good.
Mhm.
He is another person who's not going to be telling people what he does. He's just saying he's a tennis coach. We'll see how that goes. I bet if he makes it far enough at some point, he's going to say, I have a big secret. I'm an AI consultant. And whoever he's telling looks at him and goes, Huh? Yeah.
Ava's gonna say, "I am an aura painter."
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
go secret for secret.
I'll paint your AI's aura.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he also wants to create some sub alliances within the alliance.
Good
So all
strategy.
this is good for Rule 1 plus Rule 3, since he wants multiple Final
Mhm.
Twos and Final Threes, which is the way you go forward. You need to have that flexibility. So I'm liking what I see about him. I'm going to give him a 7.
Oh, we are literally aligned. I have him as a 7 too. Because he follows the rules, like you said. I feel like everything we've heard, and truly not really any drawbacks from there. So my only thing was saying that, like, hey, maybe he takes a shot when he doesn't need to, but like you also discussed the reasons why he might not. He's going to be with an alliance. He wants other people to pull a string. So I really like Jimmy, and I feel like they have a good shot of going farther and not breaking any rules as well. I don't think we're going to have it why Jimmy lost for any time soon.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up is Katherine, the 23-year-old waitress from Georgia and now in South Carolina. She thinks she can deal with people or she thinks she can do well because she deals with people she doesn't like as a server. And that'll allow her to do the same thing in the Big Brother house. I think the major point she's missing is if you're someone's server, you're with them for like an hour. And that's like just a few minutes at a time for an hour. In Big Brother, you're with them 24/7. You can't just get rid of them that quickly. So I don't think it's the same. I think that's really grasping at straws to find something to say, oh, well, my job will help me because of. Now, she also has a degree in public relations and thinks that will allow her to twist the story in her favor. But the thing is, she doesn't talk about having any actual real world experience doing this. Literally, she said she has it from 4 years at school. Well, okay. Again, just because you majored in something doesn't mean you were performing it for 4 years at school. And beyond that, the strategy she gives is very hand wavy. Being everyone's friend, but not overly so, and getting in their groups and winning because people won't anticipate her strong social game. All very generic, which tells me she really has pretty much no idea what she's going to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't see as much with the strategy there for her. Where I think one red flag I had was that she said she'd wait a couple of days because she doesn't want to come up right off the table and be like, "Hey, I want to
Mm-hmm.
join a group," or like make connections. She said, "I'll wait a couple of days to infiltrate and work my way into a group." Sometimes it's a little too late by then. I do see Catherine as somebody who could be brought into a bigger alliance and whatnot. Like you said, I don't know if the experience of being a server is really going to make you feel super social. I mean, was a server, who knows how much it helps you. It's one
Yeah.
of those things you can be in high, intense situations, but you're looking for when you clock off. You
Right.
can't clock off in Big Brother. And to be honest, anyone who has a degree within college right now and hasn't had a chance to really explore that degree out of college, it's hard to give as much weight to it. So for her
Yeah.
PR degree, I don't know how far that's going to go for her. She looks like a lovely person, but also strategy-wise, didn't see much to her. I have her kind of slightly below the pack at 4.
Okay. I have her more below the pack at 2, and I may be overestimating. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, she's said she's only seen a few seasons and only started watching about a year and a half ago. So I really think that the reason she couldn't explain a strategy is she doesn't know any of the strategies. I really don't think she'll know what to do when she gets in there.
It is giving a little recruit, but they can maybe learn on the fly. Again, there's some younger players there. There's a lot. It seems like there's a good amount of 23-year-olds actually
Yeah.
we're seeing this season. So sometimes it helps band together, like
Hmm.
like people. And then she's been around a lot of folks. She's coming out of college. It seems like recently, same as some of these other players. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, rule wise, I'm thinking she'll have to learn on the fly.
Yeah. All right, next up is Keanu. He is 33 from Miami, but now in Texas, and he is a dungeon master, but he's also a personal trainer. So, I think they put in dungeon master as the occupation because that's, cooler and draws more attention. Um, I like him a lot. I even just like the look on his face in this, like, yeah, you know. um, when I first glanced through all the interviews, his was the one that jumped out at me for a good reason, unlike Ava's jumping out at me for a bad reason. I feel like he has a lot of features and experience that will help him in the game. He's doing personal training for 15 years. That will help with comps. He does improv. So he says he thinks he can think quickly on his feet. Being a dungeon master, he says, means taking on different roles. And speaking of which, I don't know how much he makes as a professional dungeon master. I know this exists. It's a good thing it didn't exist when I was younger, because I definitely would have tried to become
Uh-huh.
one, and I probably would have had a much, much different career path that involved having a lot less money when I needed it. Fun for sure, but very different. Um, so what do you think of Keanu?
Yeah, no, it's funny. He's a huge dork. Like, I love it, and it's like you don't expect that when you see him. I was kind of ready to not like love him too much when I was going through it, because I was like, all right, we're gonna have like I saw a personal trainer. Nothing against personal trainers. I just typically we've seen that archetype on Big Brother before. Had this a strong jock type of person. You don't get as much from it, but I think
You've
he was
never
very
had any issues with strong
E
jock type of
exactly. I
people
have no
on Big
bias
Brother?
against strong
No,
big men,
no.
right? They don't like me. But anyways, with Keanu though, I feel like he might like me. We
Yeah,
could be dorks together.
yeah.
But no, I thought he was very charismatic. I think he was very aware. Like I know, I like this is something I've done personal fitness
Mhm.
training for 15 years, but also I like love D&D. I Dungeon Master. I am really into improv. There's a lot of cool qualities that make him a well-rounded person that I think he will surprise house guests there. But also, I think it was just he was making sure that, like, you know, hey, I know how I need to come across and when I need to be a threat and not threat. So I feel like he has really good potential in this game. And for a cast, typically maybe they were like, hey, we need to get the big guy out. We've seen that in recent seasons where like we need to get some challenge piece out. But I think with the way if he can come across the way he did in these interviews within the Big Brother house, I see him doing well, but also following the rules that we've put out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of areas. Well, one area where I'm a little iffy on him is exactly how he plans to play. He says he's seen quite a few seasons, so that's good. But then and he also used some examples that aren't the common ones. But overall, he seems to want to lean on his social game while enjoying the strategic aspects. I'm just not. I think he'll do well. I'm just not sure how he'll
Mhm.
approach it. He thinks his charisma will be his secret weapon. So I guess if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you might say he has a charisma of 18. And that's presuming the scores are still the same from the versions that I last played, and they haven't changed those. If he really does have that good of charisma, it will obviously be very helpful. I'm giving him a 9.
Mm. I'm right there. I'm almost convinced. I have him at an 8, but I can bump. I'm gonna put him. Are we allowed to do 0.5s?
Sure, we can do that.
You make the rules, David. I'll
That's
put a
right.
8.5 for
Okay.
him.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on then, we have Kelly, who is 29 and a web designer from South Dakota. Now, Kelly calls herself a farm kid who has traveled the world, staying in hostels and living with people she didn't know. She thinks her social skills will be one of her biggest strengths, and she wants to kill people with kindness. Other than that, she's a bit like Zay and doesn't want to go in with a plan. Except I think for her, it's a little bit of a different reason, because she says she's only seen 1 or 2 seasons. And my immediate reaction was, how do you not know if it was 1 or 2? I mean, I can understand if she said 15 or 16, maybe you lose track, but there's a big difference between seeing 1 season and 2 seasons. You can't say I've seen 1 or 2. It's one or the other, which tells me it's 1, but she didn't want to say 1. And maybe it's less than 1. Maybe she really meant 1 or 2 episodes.
Few episodes here, few episodes there. I
Yeah.
don't.
Maybe that's what 1 or 2 seasons mean. I saw 1 episode from 1 season, 1 episode from another season.
Yeah, she's really quirky, but it doesn't seem like much of a strategist in general, but also not a strategist in the sense she's watched the show, so she has no strategy for it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a little concerned with just truly her experience she's talked about with like preparing for the show, but also in the
Mhm.
past. I don't know how relatable it will be with some of the other house guests. I'm unsure. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, you're looking at her and like listening to her speak about this stuff, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to connect as well with some of the house guests. Could be wrong, and so then you hope that they would have some form of strategy where they
Right.
can like back it up, but it's not. So like I mean, they could float to jury potentially with some, staying below, but I could also see
Yeah.
it being like I don't know how much of an impact from what the pre-interviews we got we're going to see from them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she believes having a fresh perspective will help a lot. I believe it will not, because it's not a fresh perspective. It's going in clueless. That's what it really is.
Yeah.
She thinks if she makes friends, they'll have a hard time voting her out. And I'm just like, yeah, sure they will, Kelly. They'll have a real hard time. Okay. So yeah, what did you give her?
I have them as a 3 because they're looking at, like you said, going to a game of chess, thinking that it's a benefit of not knowing the rules of
Yeah.
the game. And
Yeah.
there's no, I mean, and I think I'm being generous with a 3 to be completely frank.
Oh, you are. I have her down with Ava.
No, okay. I get. There's no way Ava and them are the same.
They're not the same. They're bad in different ways.
No, Ava and Kelly are not. They're not compared, but okay.
Bad in different ways. That's all. All right. Well, next up we have Lauren. She is 22 and a bridal consultant from Louisiana. Now, Ovi, you may have had some recent experience dealing with bridal consultants. So, what do you think of Lauren, or bridal consultants in general? I guess.
You know what? I mean, I have unfortunately had too much experience meeting with bridal consultants in this recent year. Very excited for in a month that we should actually 3 weeks that we should not have to worry about wedding things anymore. But with Lauren, it's like maybe a Southern Belle meets a super fan assassin. She cleans both. Like it's a lot of knowledge of the game. It seems like they understand the strategy of it, that they want to work their way there, but also they want to figure out when to strike and not to. So socially pretty savvy, I feel like Lauren is. And here's the thing is, they're young. That's the thing. It might be good and bad, but I also think we're having a cast of a lot of 22 to 23, early 20 people. So I see Lauren as being able to go through it. She says she's soft spoken, so I don't feel like she's going to cause too much harm within the game. So I feel like if she sticks to it, stays within this group, and then works its way there. Because here's the thing: I think players like Lauren do a really good job of, if they know the game and can just like stick to the rules are made for somebody like her, honestly,
Right.
who can kind of keep the rules, play it, and then when you get to that second phase, when we talk about jury, can really hone in when to attack. So I'm pretty high on them, actually.
Yeah. She says she's loved Big Brother for as long as she can remember. She considers herself a super fan. And she also isn't coming in with a set strategy other than feeling people out and getting close to them. But she does know that trying to play too hard, too fast always gets people in trouble in the beginning, just like Rule 2 says. I feel like I like the way she answered the question about being in a showmance, because she said the goal is to win. So if a showmance will help that goal, she might do it, but she won't let it jeopardize her game. She has her eye on the prize, and she's recognizing that there are different ways to get there. So I'm going to give Lauren a 7.
We are aligned. I'm right there with 7 too.
Okay.
I feel really good about them.
Okay. Well, then we can move on to Mickey. Mickey is 35, an event curator. I don't know if you've had to deal with people like that, from Florida, and now in Georgia. Mickey thinks she can dominate the men in the house while being charming and not seen as a threat. She wants to be everyone's favorite person, but also have nobody pay attention to her early on. So basically, being in the background and supporting others, I guess, is the way she would say it.
Yeah, I like Mickey a lot of ways. Strong personality. I love how they're like, hey, this is how I'm going to play the game. I want to be people's best friends, but also want to be everyone's best friends. That kind of worries me. But more than anything, I'm a little worried about they talk about being, emotional and a crybaby, things like that. That could be a problem within the rule, because it comes. That's the biggest thing in the Big Brother house we've seen that can sway, especially early days. If there's like emotion, if you're playing with any type of that, and them basically saying they will, that's a little concerning there. But if they're able to keep that in check, I could see them doing really well. So, they're socially aware, but also, I don't know. It's kind of they've definitely had to deal with a lot of people being an event coordinator,
Right.
curator, excuse me. So
I'm not sure what an event curator is exactly, but I did not look it up ahead of time. It seems
I
like
guess put the event itself together, maybe not.
that sounds like
Maybe
a coordinator to me, a curator more so.
formulate the curate.
Yeah, I don't know. So Mickey has only been a fan for a couple years, and talked about being locked in on the show since 24. Yeah, that's not very long ago. Her answer to why she'll win is an answer that I think I really hate. It's because she wants it bad enough, as if everyone else doesn't. So I am not as high on her as you are. I'm giving her a 3.
Okay. No, I mean, I am not super. I think there's a lot of flexibility where it could go, but I have it as a 4. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Not
thought you were
super
leading
high.
to a higher number there.
No. Mickey, I think it's there's a potential.
Yes. All right. Well, next up is Morgan. She is 33. She is from California. And in case you missed it when she said it about 85 times, she's a gamer girl. She seems to overestimate both how much being an online video gamer will help her in the real life-ish world of Big Brother, and also how much other players will think it makes her a threat. So she's keeping it a secret for reasons. I don't know. I don't understand. But I mean, it reminds me of, was it Blue, who said, I can't tell people I'm in a marketing strategist because it has the word strategy in it. And we were like, yeah, but it has nothing to do with actual strategy. And meanwhile, I think that's what Morgan is overly worried about. You're a gamer. Oh my goodness. That means you could play this game. No, it has nothing. This is not a first person shooter. And I mean, I do feel like it seemed like she was getting paid according to the number of times that she could say gamer girl in her interview.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's funny because when you're on the show, somebody who's getting cast has to be interesting, and they probably have some I'm not saying there's certain professions that can't be on the show, but you understand, you got cast because either you have a really cool personality, you have an interesting profession, something there. So when people give lies about their profession or try to make themselves boring, you can kind of typically see through it because you're like, okay, well, then why are you on the show if you're boring, or why are you on the show if you had nothing going for you, There has to be something that made people interested in you first place. So that's one thing. But also, we haven't really seen, I guess, a major gamer on the show beforehand like this. So it makes me think there's some strategy in there to talk about, having a mind for how they want to strike in the game, like when they want to stay lay low, and work their way in there. I know that's not really the most fun way to watch, but also it really does work well when we see the track record of players who go into it like that. I also like players. I would rather them come in with that version of strategy than no strategy at all. So I feel pretty good on them. So, who will she be in the house? That's
I mean, you mentioned strategy. I'm not sure she's exactly up to speed on the strategy of the game because she watched seasons 5 and 6 with her mom, and then I don't know. I don't know what happened after that. She doesn't discuss it. Those are the only 2 seasons she talks about, and things have changed a little bit since then.
Yeah, well, I feel like somebody who discusses 5 and 6 had to at least watch some seasons post that too.
I mean, maybe. I'm sure she watched some in Sequester, but in fact, it's funny because she says she's not going to try to win all the comps because, quote, I have not seen a success story where someone just comes in and wins everything and wins the whole game. Yeah, Ovi, we've never seen that. That has never happened.
That has never seen it, but also she typically it's not the best strategy. But yes, unfortunately, we have anomalies that if you make a whole season just built on physical traits for a competition.
I mean, yeah, and that's the problem. She says she's never seen it. Well, yeah, if you've only seen 2 seasons back then you haven't seen it, I don't think the gamer girl is going to do particularly well in this game. I'm giving her a 2.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a strong score right there.
That is a
You're
strong.
you're either one or the other. You're not.
I know. I noticed that. I have very few in the middle. I have strong opinions.
I have her as a 6 because I feel like she will still lay low, follow the rules, tackle it when need to. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to crash and burn too quickly. Now, clip
Oh,
this and
I
show this is her
absolutely
being
think she's
voted
gonna.
out week 1. I don't think they'll crash out too quickly.
I absolutely think she's gonna crash out too
Oh,
quickly, and you don't get multiple lives in this game. So,
that's a good one. I have
well,
Maury Pope
well,
at
okay,
6.
you might in about the mid game, but you know,
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
BBAI.
So, all right. Well, we can move on to Riley. He is 27 and a bull rider in Oklahoma. I wonder if being a bull rider will help him deal with all the bull he'll be exposed to on the show. Although it appears, and we'll get to this in a minute, it appears he's been spreading his own bull a little bit here. So,
Okay.
Riley's level of fandom is interesting because he says his parents and siblings are all super fans, but he didn't include himself. He says he's been watching for a long time, but he doesn't say my parents and siblings and I are all super fans. He just mentions the others. Ryan's strategy is to come in cool, calm, and collected. And he understands you sometimes have to be a follower, and he'll do that and go with the flow and kill people with kindness. But he also compared Big Brother to riding bulls. Again, this is another grasping at straws. One has nothing to do with the other. The skill sets do not overlap.
What do you mean, David?
Yeah.
Riding a bull is exactly like living 99 days in a house with 16 other house guests. That's exactly what you do when
Yeah.
you go on there. I, you know, Riley to me is not very much of a strategist. I feel like they would self-proclaim that. A lot of energy, positive, full heart, very Friday Night Lights. What's it? Big, full heart, big eyes, can't lose. Sorry, never mind.
I know.
It gives me that vibe a lot. Somebody in the comments can let me remember what the phrase is. But I do feel he has written first HOH all over him. I feel like Riley is the type of player who is going to be able to get in a group pretty quickly. Don't think they're going to follow the rules because that's going to be my ranking based on that.
Mhm.
But I do think they're going to go pretty far. Have no clue of what to do within the game elements, but learn as they go. Especially if they have people around them who've been super fans, there is hope for Riley in there. I think people are going to trust him, but the only worry I worry about is potential misled. Maybe he will have a showmance right there. He'll get it, we'll
No,
have to
there's no
see.
way he would get into a romantic situation. None whatsoever. I mean, it's not like he came into the house with, having a woman on the outside who's about to give birth to his child this month and who's posting about it on Facebook. There's no way that he would get into a showmance because she's not out there posting on Facebook that he's that type of guy. I just don't know what you're talking about.
Shocking news to me, but
oh, I thought I sent that to you.
No, I didn't know that. I did. Who knows? I see him actually going unironically very far in this game, but I'm giving him a 3 because there's no rules he will not break. Like, he will break every single rule, but he will be lovable enough, I feel like, by the house guests to go far and win competitions. I truly peg him as a first HOH winner, and that will set the tone for the season, and he'll be safe because of that for a bit.
Well, oddly, just because we were just talking, I didn't go middle of the road for many people. I gave him a 5.
Oh, 5. Okay.
I just think that there are some aspects he can do. Like I said, understanding, you have to go with the flow and be a follower and stuff like that. I think he has the potential to do exactly what you said and blow up, become the first HOH, get HOH-itis and blow up. Lord knows we've never seen that before.
No one who wins first HOH gets voted out.
Yeah, we'll see. But yes, he is the person who has already caused the most social media drama.
So your winner pick, right? That's it. That's who you are.
Right.
Yeah. That's funny.
All right. Next up is Vince. He is 34 from California and currently unemployed. He has watched since season 16. He has been a live feed viewer since 18. Go live feed viewers. So he's definitely going to be more familiar with the game than almost everyone else. And hopefully he can use that to his advantage. as just one example, he said, I don't want to have any lie where I have to hold on to it for an entire 3-month period because I don't know if I'm
Mhm.
going to forget. Those are wise words of someone who has seen people try to lie and blow it.
Yes, I definitely think so. To not put shade on it. That's no shade on it ever. But I do think it's easier not to lie when you don't have to worry about lying about a profession.
That's
Like
true.
I worry that he's going to tell people he's unemployed and they don't believe him. I think you're going to get a full segment of what does Vince do? Is he an FBI agent? He must do something. I'm unemployed.
That's
Again,
what I think Taryn and Rob were talking about that. Like, is he a secret billionaire? Is that why he's
yeah.
saying he's unemployed?
Here's the thing. It might be more so he's going through, got laid off, going transition. He might have done something way before. We'll find out more about it. And there's
I
nothing
think he said
wrong.
he's done different things. He
Yeah.
hasn't found his real life's work. He's done different things. So,
Nothing wrong with that, and I
yeah,
wish him the best for that. Who knows?
right.
He might be coming out here. He doesn't need it. He might be $750,000 richer in
Yeah,
9 months.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is when people say they're going to kind of do like a wing it and adapt strategy, I don't put as much clout into it unless they know the game already,
Hmm.
which makes me feel better because they already know the confines of what they're going to play in, and they just
Right.
don't want to put themselves in a certain way to play the game. So I feel pretty good about him. All things surprisingly, I love that he doesn't have to tell any secrets. I feel like he can come at people on a different level because he's not going to keep secrets early game, especially. And I think he knows not enough to tackle things too early, but I
Hmm.
do worry he seems like a prime suspect of or prime victim of a HOH-itis that he could win and he gets bad. Like this is every super fan's dream. All right, how am I going to do it? Or my worry would also be like, what are the fans going to think? I don't want to be boring. Like he's a live feed viewer.
Yes.
He's really.
Yeah.
We've seen that so many times that big fans get on the show, love the show, but also are playing to the viewers rather than playing it
Yeah.
for themselves.
And
So
he
that's
does
my
say
only.
that. He does say something about that. He talks about making good TV in his interview, which worried me a little bit. So yeah, I mean,
I
he has an
hate when
interesting.
them. A lot of
Yeah,
them have said that this time. Like they're so
yeah,
going to be so entertaining. No,
yeah.
we don't.
Right.
Can't be.
He does have an interesting strategy plan to breaking down each week into mini games so he can survive 1 week at a time and adapt along the way. And I do like this way of thinking rather than trying to insist that I'm going to win because I want to win, like one person said. Um, he also he has a more realistic view of himself. I think he wasn't bragging about how great he was. He acknowledged he wasn't the most athletic or most social or whatever, but he'll be good enough in each area to get through. And I think that supports his statement about being self-aware, which I think is going to help him a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Vince. I like
Hmm.
everything I saw of it. I love. I don't know. I think it's a dark horse in there. I don't want to give anything away, but I think Vince has a really good possibility going forward. So that's why you know what I've given him one of the highest rankings I've given out of the whole cast. I have him as a 9 for following the rules.
Wow.
And I feel like he really will. And watch him get HOH the first week and just burn the whole rules down. But I think he'll follow through it.
Yeah, I have him as an 8, maybe an 8.5 to use your
Mhm.
recently added 0.5 rule there. He's almost there with my previously mentioned top 2, but I just, as much as I like him, I don't quite feel it.
Mhm.
Don't quite feel the 9.
Accurate.
So
Oh wow. Is that? Oh no, we for a minute I was like, wait, don't we have one more person?
we do have one more. We have Zack, who is 27 and a marketing manager in Georgia. Now, Zack started off his interviews by saying he knows everyone will come in and be crazy and energetic, and he's going to use that to his advantage. But even though he repeats it a couple times, he doesn't say how he's going to use that to his advantage. He just says he will. So I'm scratching my head a little bit about that one. He also said he's becoming a super fan. I don't know what that means either. Did when you were in sequester, you were watching all the shows, and that's when you're becoming a super fan, but you weren't until now? I mean, it's a little freaking late to do that.
It's like, and also here's the thing: is each person is given different things to watch. Like it's not the same thing across the board, and some people aren't given anything. Like I mean, it changes season to season. Like I was given, I already watched so many seasons. They gave me no seasons to watch on my thing, and then some people got seasons to like. We know some of our winners got plenty of seasons to watch and emulate the game off. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that makes me worried that if he's becoming a super fan, means he's watching it now, and if they're typically they give people who haven't watched the game as much the seasons that they want them to emulate.
Yeah. So Zack has played some minor league baseball. He believes he'll be seen as a physical threat. So although I don't think he's going to lie about that. He's going to focus on being a pastor's son who people can trust. It's not a terrible plan, really. He also says he won't push trying to create an alliance, and he's going to lie low and get brought into one, which, yeah, if you're more physical, you're more likely to get brought into an alliance. In fact, he wants to be brought into a bunch of different alliances, basically, being flexible according to Rule 3. But he also said he appreciated what Tucker did last season in flipping the house upside down. And to that, I say, no, there was pretty much nothing Tucker did that was good from a strategic standpoint.
Yeah, no, I can see them doing well in a lot of elements, but I also worry that it seems somebody could flame out quite quickly, and I also wonder if they're going to be a target for a threat, just depending on because they're not making the first move, they're waiting for people to be brought in early game. I'm a little concerned about that because here's the reality: minor league baseball, he looks athletic, he looks strong, looks very likable. We've seen in past seasons, we've seen Angela, recently, where it's like, hey, I want to get a person that I think would be somebody who would be like an alpha male. Let's get them out there. I can see them being targeted for that. No fault of their own. So unless they take that, let's get this done quickly from my end first, let's bring in a group. I worry that they could be targeted later on. But that has neither here nor there of how they'll follow the rules. I like how they talked about laying low, figuring out where they're going to go through. But I also think you need to play to what the person you are. So I have him as a 6 because I think it's like the middle of the ground.
Yeah, I have him as a 6 as well. So yeah, I don't know. I worry about him a little bit, but I do, like I said, like we both said, I have him as a 6. So we will see what happens there.
Yeah, it's gonna be...
So then we have player 17, and I'm trying right now to get a picture of player 17 because we don't really have a picture of player 17, but I'm trying to find one because we pretty much know who player 17 is. So Julie has only mentioned this person as a polarizing mystery house guest. At this point, pretty sure we know it's Rachel. A number of people have talked about the various clues in the Big Brother Instagram. And Hamster Watch, in particular, laid it all out on Blue Sky and on their own website. It's possible others I know I've seen bits and pieces in other places as well, but Hamster Watch did a good job of compiling everything, putting it together, explaining it very well. So just a few of the things I want to go through here. There's a map in one image in the house, and it shows coordinates that match up with Rachel's Amazing Race seasons. There's a B and a V on the bookshelves for either Brendan Villegas. I don't know if it's Villegas or Villegas. I don't really remember how to pronounce his name. Yeah. Or Brendan and Vegas. Either one would apply to her. There's a playing card, the 9 of Hearts. She came in 9th place on season 12 when she fell in love with Brendan. There's a room number of 1313, and of course she won season 13. There's a few other things that I know I've seen. The clock is at, I believe it is at a time where if you add up the times, the minutes in there, it adds up to the number of days she has been total in the house. And there's on Instagram, there's a picture of Felicia in a life jacket, which of course refers to Rachel's famous statement about floaters. So yeah, I just think there is way too much evidence, and it has to be. There's no one else that it can be at this point.
It would be something. I guess I'm unsure if they're going to bring him in as a player or if it's going to be some sort of twist in the game where it's like they're not really a player.
Yes.
I don't know, they have to figure something out. I've heard there's some murder mysteries. I mean, again, we're not like the. Uh, there's probably people who have better takes on this than
Nobody has better takes on this than us.
No one does. No one.
I think I have the same question. Will she stay or is it a gimmick? The way Julie has been talking about her, it is as the 17th house guest. But my recollection of last season is she also talked about adding a 17th house guest, and that ended up being Ainsley, who of course was not added. So I have to wonder if it's not a similar situation. I think it is. I think it's the latter. The house this season is made up like a hotel of mystery. I think Rachel joins the house guests. They think she's one of them. And then she gets fake murdered in the 2-night season premiere. So between now and the next couple days, there's a murder that happens. And then that reverberates somehow throughout the rest of the season, or at least until they get bored.
Interesting. I think it's fun. I already, as you guys might have been able to tell, our backgrounds, our rooms of the house, it's much better than a camp, a campground. It'd be crazy to make a season of Big Brother based around a campground.
That'd be ridiculous.
It'd be ugly and disgusting. This looks a lot better. So I'm excited for this type of theme. I think it's going to be very cool. I love it. Rachel Riley is such a iconic person in Big Brother history. So very cool there. There's no ranking we can give her. She has her own rules. She'll play the game by if she is playing the game by, and I'm confident she will do well, or we'll have a good time watching them. That's for sure.
Yes. All right. Well, with that, it is time for our final predictions here. So looking back at my ratings, I scored a couple of people the same, of course, Adrian and Keanu. And even though I really like Adrian, I think he's well prepared, and I think he would be a great winner. There are a couple things. I first of all, I can't get past the fact that there's something about Keanu that grabbed me right away.
Oh.
And there is still that thing about Adrian. Like I said, he could win. He could also go out first or second. So I'm going to stick with my initial gut reaction, and I am picking Keanu.
Wow. Okay, that's a solid choice. I thought when you were going to go to Adrian, I was like, that's insane. But you know what? I love that. Do you want Adrian as your backup? Shall I give you a backup right here?
No, we're not going to do Adrian's. We're going to go solo. We're going to go no.
We're doing solo. Okay. I am putting my. I like that. It's a very good pick. I think Keanu is a very solid one. I can see you doing really well. So mine will be Ashley Hollis, though. I'm a big fan of her. The attorney from New York City, but also from your hometown, Chicago. I think she has a really good charm to her, knows the game strategy. I think she's going to get in there. But also, when I think of players who can win, is how well can they get themselves out of trouble? I think of because every player inevitably, if they're going to win the game, they're going to get in a situation, most likely, where they're faced against a wall. Somebody needs to turn them. What can they do? I have confidence in her.
Well, if they're facing a wall, then Adrian should be your pick.
Adrian should be our potential ninja warrior.
Yeah.
And I hope Adrian does well. I do hope. I just maybe not as much confidence as you do in them. But yeah, actually, is there. I think this is a very good duo. I think we have a very two strong. I'm hoping just for our sake, we don't have flare outs right in the I know it's ironic for me to say that out of everybody, but I'm hoping that we can cheer on some players throughout the house versus me and David after premiere night. Like, well, damn, all right, let's think of our second picks.
Yeah. All right, so now we have to think about who might be first out. So I gave both Ava and Kelly a 1, but having a 1 doesn't mean you'll be first out, because we talked about this earlier. Look at Mackenzie. I gave her a 1 preseason. I would have given her a 1 at the end of the game. I feel like gamer girl Morgan is likely to just do something that puts her at odds with everyone else. I don't have a good feeling about her. I think that she doesn't really know how to play, and these are not NPCs in a game. So I she's my prediction is first out.
Interesting. Well, it could be there, but my opinion right now, you're gonna laugh at me when I say this. I'm very much feeling Adrian. I think Adrian has high
You were right.
potential
I am
to be
going to
the
laugh at
first
that. Yeah.
in vote. I was between Adrian and potentially Mickey. I feel like they both are people that I'm like, I'm not sure about. Yes, we were talking about. I think we both agreed on Kelsey being pretty low on there, but like we said, like rule wise, typically sometimes they can make it out there. I'm saying Adrian is our first boot right here. But I also
Okay.
said Cedric was my first boot beforehand, and he did so well, more so because I was worried about his age with it.
I mean, he did well enough to get on the challenge this season.
Yeah,
So,
good for him. Good for him. And Adrian might have that possibility for them in the future too. Adrian's my first boot.
Okay. Well, I do want to mention, we discussed the rules a little bit here. And while we don't have a poster for the Big Brother rules, we do have one for the Survivor rules. They're very similar. They have, as you can tell, some older Survivor players on there. This was, drawn by Eric Reichenbach. So you can get that at robhasawebsite.com/yxlostfeed. You scroll down, you click on the poster, it'll take you to eBay, and you can order it. You can also get it in t-shirt form, the poster on t-shirt, or in checklist form, which is very similar to Big Brother. Unfortunately, we don't have Big Brother versions that you can hang or wear, but this is as close to it as we can get right now. So other than that, I think, Ovi, it is about time for us to wrap things up here.
Wow, I love it. What a start to the season, and I hope you guys enjoyed our show. But if you want to find us in other places, don't forget that we are both very active on a number of different social media platforms where we discuss a Big Brother and other topics. Hashtag BB27 is going to be running through all our feeds. So look for us on Twitter and Instagram, where I'm at I changed my ad. I'm at Ovi Kabir on Twitter and Instagram. And on TikTok, I'm at Basmati Boy. But David is really all over the place. There are a few ways you can track him down, though. You can find his various accounts through his Linktree at Linktree/David Bloomberg, or you can find him directly on Blue Sky as David Bloomberg.
Yes, I encourage everyone at any of the other places to come over to Blue Sky for all of your Big Brother discussions. I believe you are creating an account now, as
we speak.
As we
typing
speak.
away.
So you got to get that created before this goes out. To make
at
sure.
Ovi Kabir on Blue Sky.
Okay. So yeah, there's so many Big Brother accounts that have moved. A lot of the live feed updaters, a lot of the major accounts have moved. It's just a better place, and you don't have like AIs going all absolutely nuts on you as you do in the other place. So join us there. Now, during the off season, since Survivor, I have been also busily posting 2 or more videos at TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, where I'm at David Bloomberg TV. I will be posting even more once Big Brother starts. So far, they've been mostly about Survivor flashbacks, looks ahead to Survivor 50, clips from the Traders India, the Snake, Destination X. But like I said, more Big Brother stuff is ahead. And again, I'm at David Bloomberg TV there, or you can find all of my accounts on my Linktree, as you mentioned.
And now, as we wrap up, I want to encourage people to check out our RHAP Patreon program at robhasawebsite.com/patron. Rob has several patron-only podcasts for Big Brother, plus other perks like the Facebook groups and Discord. You can help support shows like ours and everything on the network by becoming a patron at robhasawebsite.com/patron.
Yes, and make sure you're subscribed to all of the RHAP podcasts by going to WeKnowRealityTV.com. You can select your podcast service of choice. You can also go directly to WeKnowBigBrother.com. So you'll not only find content like us and other Big Brother podcasts and daily live feed updates and things like that once they all get started, but if you go to WeKnowRealityTV.com, you'll find a number of other topics and shows as well.
And lastly, we want to thank Scott St. Pierre and Jessica Sterling and the whole RJP and Reality TV wrap-ups behind-the-scenes team for all the work they do, editing and posting and everything else. We really appreciate everything they do to get our voices from our microphones and to your ears. And then finally, I want to thank all y'all for watching us starting this new season again. So excited. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or just tag us on social media. Let us know what we got right, what we got wrong, and clip things so we know at the end of the season how right I was and how wrong David was.
I may be wrong, but it's highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. But what is not unlikely is that I am so thankful to be back here. I really appreciate you, David. What a great start we're going to have. And I appreciate you for, getting us all through this.
Yes, and thanks to you, Ovi, for joining me once again. And we will be right back here after the first eviction, and we will be talking about, will it be why Morgan lost? Will it be why Adrian lost? Will it be why Rachel Riley was murdered? We don't know what it'll be, but we will be right here talking about it. So watch for us, listen for us, and we will see you soon. And again, look for us on social media. Till then, bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.